Good morning, professors. Today is a group of five which composed of me, Pawarid, Akkhaphob, Thanaphol, Pitchaya, and Brandon, and we present to you the project analysis of Etihad Rail Company. First of all, let's take a step back and look into the trend analysis of overall market and company current situations, which in this case we can see that the demand for the rail transportation has been increased significantly in the last few years by the GDP value. And also there is a change in the transportation trend whereby the government also provide both monetary and physical support toward alternative transportation model around UAE. So this is why Etihad railway companies come to take a part in these enormous projects of rail transportations at the first place. So this will lead to the current project situation of the company right now. They have successfully completed the first projects already and it's turned out to be quite successful. However, today Etihad came to us with the goal in mind that they want to further use the rail on another purpose, which is to carry the passenger. So that is why it leads to the two main question statements, which are first, should Etihad include the passenger transportation as well? And second, what step do the management need to take to start the passenger rail service? And this professor, let me introduce to you the agenda for today's presentation, which will guide you through the three main steps of first, review the mission and vision of the company, which we're going to ask the question of does the passenger rail align with the company overall strategy or not. Then for our second step, which is the project evaluation, we need to answer the question of should Etihad launch the passenger rail project or not, which we aim to provide to you both external and internal analysis for the weight among benefit, loss, and risk that you must consider when making a project decision. Lastly, we're going to introduce to you the execution and implementation plan, which we aim to answer the question of what should be the plan and step for Etihad to implement this project successfully. So let's moving on to the first step, which is review the mission, vision, and long-term strategies, which we aim to point out the implication of relationship among these three factors. So by combining these three factors together, we can conclude that the passenger rail project is aligned with the company's overall visions and mission.
In this analysis, there are three main steps that we plan to go through. Firstly, we will use Pastel and Porter 5 force for external analysis. Secondly, we will use 2x2 strategic capacity matrix for internal analysis. And lastly, we will use SWOT analysis to conclude the overview. The goal of this analysis is to evaluate whether the passenger rail project should be undertaken or not.
Alright, so now I'll dive into an external analysis, and specifically we'll be using the PESTEL framework. So for political, in the case of a financial recession, it might affect funding activities, in which case could be postponed. On an economic standpoint, criteria for making loan decisions to fund the project are restrictive because of the financial crisis in the world financial sectors. Socially, women and youth do not prefer traveling via train. On the positive note between tech and environment, for tech, improvement in technology capability enhances the efficiency of overall business operation. Environmentally, it's a more sustainable model of transportation with a lower carbon footprint. And legally, there's immigrant custom duty. So taking a look at some key drivers of change, continuing the external analysis, we're looking at opportunities and threats here. Opportunities on the green side for tech would be to allow Etihad to achieve new business solutions, while as on an environmental side, enhancing the brand image through sustainability. This could be a key competitive advantage, which could ultimately make this effective. And then looking at the threats from a political economic side, cease to provide funding to finance in the project, resulting in the failure to keep the project running. Another threat socially would be the project might incur high opportunity lost, and legally, potential government intervention of the project is something to always consider.
Apart from Pastel, we also analyze a transportation industry, whether it's offer competitive advantage for Etihad or not. There are high threats of substitute product and service, high bargaining power of supplier, high bargaining power of buyers, which are disadvantage for Etihad since there are various transportation options for customers such as personal car, public boat, or public bus. Etihad also rely on a single number of suppliers, therefore it loses bargaining power. However, they're still having low threat of potential entrants and low competition rivalry, which beneficial for Etihad to operate under monopoly of rail transport, and Etihad will be only one firm that get government concession. The next part will be 2x2 capability matrix. The results of the company will form a company competency. In the other words, turning assets into actions. To survive in the transportation industry, Etihad has huge amount of funding, especially from the governments and specialized human resource. As a result, it has the ability to ensure the consistency of the project and maximize the efficiency and effectiveness in doing project. While the government concessions, technological advancement, and connection among huge supply chains, these are essential resources, turning Etihad to be the leader in these markets, since company will be able to lower the operational costs, reduce carbon footprints, and scale down the intensity of competition and lower bargaining power of supplier. The key implication of 2x2 metrics identify the distinctive resource which Etihad could use to overcome the barrier in Powder 5 Force mentioned before. So the conclusion of project evaluation will be done using SWOT analysis. Company has 3 strengths in terms of its monopoly of rail system, the governmental supports, and its distinctive resources and capabilities. With these strengths, company will be able to overcome stakeholder conflict, rely on subfield contractors, and delay overall projects. Whereas the opportunity allows Etihad to achieve new business solutions and enhance its brand image through sustainability idea behind company visions and missions. And lastly, threat of legal barriers, cease of project funding and government intervention could be overcome by 2x2 capability matrix. For this reason, we decided that it's better for Etihad to start the project.
And now that we have decided that the passenger rail project should be undertaken, here comes to the last step. Project execution. To implement the passenger rail project, Etihad should follow our 4 key steps. First, it should start out with planning for appropriate resource allocation. Second, it has to lay out the proper communication system to ensure a seamless collaboration. Next, it should mitigate the risk involved with the passenger rail project. And lastly, tracking and reporting system should be put in place. In the first step, Etihad must allocate the resources, which are its people, budget, and time appropriately. For people, it should form an internal multidisciplinary team to be in charge of the passenger rail project, which should include personnel across all relevant functional units. Moreover, certain tasks should be allocated to the right contractors to complete. In terms of the budget allocation, Etihad should utilize both top-down and bottom-up approach to come up with the most realistic estimates for the project and allocate the budget accordingly. For the time allocation, it should consider all work packages and their dependencies in order to create a project schedule so that all tasks are completed in a timely manner. In our second step, Etihad should lay the right foundation for project communication. For the internal stakeholder, including Etihad project team, employee, top management, and contractors, information can be disseminated through several internal media, such as team meeting, conferences, video calls, and internal project management software so that the project information such as the detailed plan, deadlines, and progress can be shared organization-wide. On top of that, Etihad must communicate to the external stakeholder, including government authorities and the general public. The media can include press releases, social media, and meetings with authorities to keep the public informed about the ongoing project.
For risk mitigations, there are 5 potential risks that the company has to access in order to run the project smoothly. Firstly, potential risks to delay the overall projects. The company has to define dependency and critical paths to overcome this problem. Secondly, reduce the efficiency of existing freight railway. To overcome this is to perform a risk assessment and design rail system to optimize efficiencies. The legal barrier amongst GCC nations by providing a new technology to improve immigration screening and compromising. The political and economics which include the failure fund to the projects. To overcome this is to find alternative source of fund and the stakeholder conflicts which to overcome by enhance the capacity and communication among stakeholders. For tracking process and reporting, the company has to develop a new database or operational software to connect all staff and workers in one circle. In addition, the company has to identify KPIs for passenger projects, including quantitative KPIs or financial KPI, schedule budgets, which should actual cost, and number of hours spent by each task, and qualitative KPIs, which including project progress, sustainability, passenger, and safety and health of the worker by using a project milestone, carbon emissions, and customer satisfactions. So here is the end of our presentations. Thank you for your attention.